A rural town in Northern California is reeling regarding the closure of a prison in the area, which essentially serves as the main place where people in the community are employed. And so when we have discussions about the necessity of a federal jobs guarantee, it's not just about ensuring that unemployed people, currently unemployed people, have access to well-paying jobs. It also deals with issues in the periphery, like criminal justice, because in this case, the community does not want the closure of the prison. They want the prison to remain open because it's their only source of employment. So as one Susanville employee, or Susanville resident, I should say, says they came in and they promised to buy everything local. It was all about economic benefit to the community, meaning the prison and what it was providing to the community. They got it built and we became a pretty happy little prison town, right? So they don't want the closure because of how this prison not only provided jobs, but it also provided a benefit to other businesses in the community. So the opening of the prison has actually helped businesses in the town get back on their feet. For instance, in April, the state announced that it would close the California Correctional Center, which provides nearly 1,100 jobs and among the highest wages in this impoverished, sinking town, or shrinking town, I should say, of 8,000 residents. Yeah, and also residents of Susanville are bracing for the worst as it's gonna shut down, right? Because it's not just about the prison shutting down, it's about the business that's provided to small businesses in the area. Scores of for sale signs, for instance, have popped up on front lawns. Owners of restaurants and hotels, which rely on inmates' visitors, fear business could plummet. School leaders are bracing for families with children leaving, which could lead to a cut in the school's funding. So it has this domino effect. And it's not that the community is in favor of how the justice system is playing out right now, or how we imprison more people than most other developed countries. They just don't know what they're gonna do economically once it shuts down. Which again, is why I think Biden needs to make a stronger case for a federal jobs guarantee.
Yeah, of course he's not gonna do any of that.
Yeah.
So look, I'm a little split on the story because I get the desire to protect that small town and at the same time, and yes, and that's by the way, when you close a prison like that down, you should have a specific plan for what are you gonna do with that community. You can't solve all the problems, you just can't, right? But you should at least have some sort of backup plan for some sort of relief in the short term, midterm, et cetera, right? And provide some access to jobs somehow, right? And if you say, hey, Cenk, well, what do you mean somehow? I don't know, I'm not the governor, okay? They have thousands of people working for them and they should put some effort into it. Look, I like to be constructive, but I don't know how to solve that particular problem, okay? Now, having said that, I don't shed too big a tear for this. I mean, they should close that prison down. I'm thrilled that they closed the prison down. I'm really happy that California is stopping the ridiculous over-incarceration that we had because of the drug war in this country and in California in specific. The prison population has gone way down in California. That's a great thing overall. And so I get it. Some towns used to do horse and buggies, and now that we don't have horse and buggies, so they're gonna have to get new jobs, right? And I don't wanna be too callous about it, but we can't keep doing horse and buggies. We got to figure out a new path forward, right? And this one's even worse. I mean, what if your town was run on a torture factory? And oh well, look, man, they're doing torture in there, but it's just 120 good jobs in there. I'm working around the clock. Sometimes they get overtime. Yeah, I'm gonna vote to close the torture factory. So
no, I mean, look, I think we both agree on, first of all, I actually have a lot to say about shutting down prisons and like in California, it is true, there's now this trend of releasing nonviolent offenders. But I don't wanna give Democrats in this state too much credit, because what they do is they set people up for failure. It's like, oh, we imprisoned you for nonviolent offenses and you're now a convicted felon as a result. We're gonna release you, but we're gonna set you up for failure. We're not gonna provide any way of transitioning back into society. We're not gonna provide jobs. We're not gonna provide housing. We're not gonna provide anything, which is, by the way, part of the reason, not the full reason, but part of the reason why the homeless population has certainly exploded in California during the pandemic as more and more nonviolent offenders were released, right? So I'm not saying that you shouldn't release them. I'm just saying, sure, a little bit of credit for doing what's right and releasing them, but there isn't a program to transition people into society and they're left on the streets to fend for themselves and they get no credit for that, right? The other thing is, yes, I agree, shut down the prison, but the problem with the Democratic Party is they'll advocate for prison closures, but they don't make a case for a federal jobs guarantee. They don't talk about the need to invest, like the infrastructure proposal from Biden. That can provide so many jobs. If you invest in renewable energies, maybe build a factory in this community to build wind turbines and solar panels, whatever it is. There are actually solutions, but we're not having conversations about the solutions. We're having conversations about we're gonna shut it down and then we're gonna move on with our lives. And there are 8,000 people in this community who don't know what to do. They deserve a solution, not just we're gonna shut down the prison, go F yourselves,
Yeah, I hear you. But meanwhile, by the way, the solutions that you propose, of course, we saw Joe Manchin on tape talk to the billionaire donors. There's a story that The Intercept broke where he said, no, I'm very much against the clean energy portions of the infrastructure bill. For example, building stations where you could recharge your electric cars. That would be a huge part of getting more electric cars in the country and the infrastructure that you need for that. And they were joking around on the call like, Henry Ford didn't need gas stations set up by the government. Ha 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 ha. And they're having a good belly laugh. They're not gonna create any of those jobs. They're not gonna get those. By the way, that county is 75% Trump voters. But you think Republicans are gonna help them? No, they're not gonna get them any infrastructure jobs. So, and the infrastructure plan that they have, not only doesn't create very many jobs, gutted 3/4 of the funding, but on top of that, when you read it, of course, it mainly privatizes roads and other infrastructure, so you have to pay tolls the rest of your life. So they're all crooks, and they do everything for their donors. So whether they're Trump fans or they're not, it doesn't matter at all. But they're gonna leave those poor people behind.
Of course they are, yeah.
And that's just the reality. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.